Welcome to Montenegro, where turquoise waters meets towering mountains and charming cities dot the coastline filled with history and beauty. In this video, we're diving into the magic of Boca Bay, beyond the famous town of Kotor. Join us as we explore three incredible cities: the historic streets of Herceg Novi, the picturesque beauty of Perast, and the tranquil vibes of Risan. These often overlooked gems aren't just stunning, they're gateways to the heart of Montenegro's beautiful coastal charm. So let's explore why these cities deserve a spot on your travel map. Welcome to Herceg Novi. I am so pumped to be in this picturesque little town to explore.
And over the next few days, we are going to explore some of the other coastal towns on our way to Kotor. We have a surprise, but that's a different video.
But first, let's catch you up on how we got here. We were in Berlin, Germany, but we were running out of our 90 days to stay in the Schengen zone, so we hopped on a plane to Croatia, which is still in the zone. So we took a bus from Croatia to Montenegro, and now we are here for a couple weeks exploring this incredible country.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, we're going to explore this city before we leave. So let's start.
So one cool thing about this city is they have a giant promenade along the water. I think it's like 6.3 kilometers, and there's little cafes, shops that you can walk along, and little accesses to the beaches, which there's not a ton of sandy beaches. There, a lot of them are like the cement slab beaches, but beach is a beach.
And it's kind of fun because you can see it's fairly empty. And it's 1:30 p.m., but that's because we're in the off season now, so we avoid the huge crowds. But a lot of places are still closed for this season. There's like repairs happening in the city. But that's not going to stop us from going to Old Town, which is going to be our first stop. We just passed the clock tower, which leads you into Old Town, and the first thing you see is the Orthodox Church of St. Archangel Michael. And it's actually kind of interesting because it's in the square as well, but there's a bunch of restaurants and patios, people eating out, and I can only imagine during like the peak season it'd be crowded, but it's kind of nice because we have it all to ourselves. And there's also two fortresses here that I'm really excited to explore. We were kind of around one earlier, but there's a bigger one, and kind of is fun getting lost in the alleyways and enjoying this city's Old Town.
Herceg Novi has a rich history that stretches back centuries. The town has witnessed many different empires and powers through the centuries, including the Ottomans, Venetians, Austrians, and Montenegrins, all of which have left a mark on the architecture and culture. Our second stop takes us to Kanli Kula Fortress, which was built in the 17th century during the rule of the Ottoman Empire. It cost €4 to enter.
And now we are at the top, and they've actually turned the fortress into like an auditorium for open seating where they do like concerts and I think like mini theater performances. So they have quite the backdrop when they are performing because it is stunning. So the name of this fortress translates to the Bloody Tower because the Ottomans used it as a prison, and it was also a military stronghold. So there's a lot of bloodshed in this area, which is kind of crazy.
And I don't know, it's very interesting, like just being up here on a fortress with like great views, like lounge areas, and also learning about history. It's like a nice like mix of doing both. That's why I love traveling.
The first fortress is really cool, but now we're hoping to go to a second fortress, which is supposed to have even better views than the other one. So this city's just filled with different viewpoints. Hopefully we can get in. We're cutting it close to closing time, so let's go.
Unfortunately, we cut it too close, but luckily we got to enjoy a sunset walk.
So earlier today we saw the pomegranate tree, and then we saw this guy making fresh juice from pomegranate, and I've never had fresh squeezed pomegranate juice before, so cheers. Ooh, it's a little tart. That's pretty good. It's dinner making time.
Today's menu includes peppers, onions, salami, pepperoni, and cheese assembled on your choice of bread, stacking the meats, adding the cheese and vegetables, which we call an Italian sandwich for some reason. We had a side of chips and enjoyed the sunset before calling it a night. Good morning from a new Airbnb. The long story short is we wanted a place that has a kitchen, there's a place to wash our clothes, beds in the back, and it's supposed to rain over the next few days, and so that's why we're exploring yesterday and today. But we wanted to make our own meals as well, just to help with the budget, and here we are.
And the wild part is, like, this is the same cost as the other place. $30 a night, baby. And today, I'm super pumped because we are going on a 3-hour boat tour through the Bay of Kotor, and we're going to the Blue Cave, a beach, and a submarine bunker. And I don't know all the details, but I'm so excited because the sun is shining, I'm hot and sweaty, and I can't wait!
Our boat just arrived and it's a little crowded. We'll see how much we record on it. We're gonna board right now, and yeah, it's gonna be an awesome day.
To the Blue Cave, and we're getting to go inside the water, and I'm excited. I bet it's gonna be super cold, but I can't wait.
Is it cold?
A little bit.
Whoa, the fishies. Whoa, dude, this is so cool. It's so blue. This cave is so large, and like the top of it is really cool. And it's not too bad in here, honestly. Loving this water. I can only imagine this place in the summer being like packed.
It's so clear, and there's big old fishes in here.
You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, our first stop was to a submarine bunker that was used in like the Yugoslavia times. It's no longer in use. And then after that, we saw a fortress that apparently was in Croatia. And then as we were continuing on our way here, we like passed a cave and he didn't stop. And I was like, is that it? Like, ta-da? And it was like, no. So we kept on going. Here we are.
The final stop on the tour is a small town for lunch. There are restaurants you can go to, but we brought our own lunch.
This is not a bad place to have a lunch, and I don't know if it's because we're here in October, but there's like not a ton of people here, so it's like we have this whole little cove to ourselves. And the tour has been like so like easy and just like enjoyable, just going to all these different places.
This beach is pretty small, so we're gonna enjoy the rest of our time while we're here. Then we're gonna head back and probably just keep it like a low-key kind of day.
Yeah.
Good morning from Herceg Novi. Today we are about to take a bus 45 minutes to our next coastal town of Perast on our way to Kotor. So I'm excited to get on this bus and get going. But it's early and we're already running late. No surprise, but we gotta go.
Let's go to our next city town. We have gotten on the bus and no one else is on here, and it's not like a typical bus. It's like a van that has like a bunch of seats in it. It was $9 for both of us to get to Perast, and I read online that you have to say you're going to the next town over because there's no buses that stop directly in the city, but it dropped you off really close, so he said I'll take you there. Everyone here's been super nice, so we're gonna have a beautiful view along the Bay of Kotor. Just got to the outskirts of Perast. It is true they don't drop you off right in town, but This road is like the main road, and then the side road is the one that leads to Old Town. And it's only a 4-minute walk from our Airbnb, so it's perfect.
I mean, just look at this view with the lake and the mountains already. We're pretty sure the mountains are bigger over here. We have a 4-minute walk to do. It's hard to walk and record with all of our stuff, so we'll see how at the Airbnb.
Airbnb, and our host took us to our room and got us acquainted, and we got ready to go out and explore. And Perast is said to be one of the most picturesque towns in all of Montenegro and has a huge maritime history, but we'll dive into that later. Right now we're going to get some lunch to fuel up before we start exploring.
Up first is an omelet, and this thing is only €5, and I'm pumped. That's pretty good. And this isn't even the cake, and that's what we came here for. This is nice.
So the first part of maritime history that we're going to teach you about is the Perast Cake. And this cake originated in this city, and the woman would make it for the men when they returned from long voyages, and it became like a symbol of celebration and hospitality. So I'm pretty pumped to try it. It smells really good. That's yummy. It's like a really dense cake with a lot of the sugar on top. It has lemon in it and almonds. That's a yummy cake. Another interesting thing about Perast is that it's home to 2 islands, and one of them is the only artificially made island in the Adriatic Sea, which is where we're gonna go next, and we're gonna tell you more when we get there, but we have to hop on a boat to go see this island. We found the boat pretty easily. It's €5 round trip to go to the island and back, and we basically have the boat to ourselves. There's another couple on here, but we're gonna sit back, enjoy some views before we get to the island. All right, that was like a quick 5-minute boat ride with beautiful views of Perast. And I can't wait to go look more on the island. So I lied earlier. This is not the only artificial lake in the Adriatic Sea, but it's one of the most famous, and there's a city legend about this island. In 1452, 2 fishermen said they saw an icon of the Virgin Mary on a rock in the Bay of Kotor, and they saw it as a divine protection of like the fishermen. So they decided to make it into an island by sinking ships and adding rocks to it to create this artificial island. And then they built a church on it. And they even have a festival every year on July 22nd. People come and bring rocks to put on the island, which is pretty cool. We gotta come back on July 22nd and see the festival, because I feel like it'd be pretty unique to see.
And one of my favorite parts about the island is you get a full panoramic views of the bay, at least where we're currently at. And when we came in earlier, we drove along this side, and then you kept driving. You could see like the island the whole time in the middle until you get to Perast. It's kind of like fun to explore. And one thing people did say about each of these towns is to spend a few days there or nights. There's a lot of tour groups that will just like do day trips here from the tour, but we're gonna be here for a little bit and like figure out the charm of Perast. But we're gonna keep exploring this island and going to church. Talk about beating the rush. We just finished up the church, and holy crap, it is crowded out here. But that's because the church built in 1630, and it's a popular pilgrim site for Catholics in the region, and also houses a lot of the different offerings that say this with Sunshine Springs as like a thank you for having a safe voyage. There's a lot of Baroque architecture and paintings in the church as well. And when you first walk in, you can see an altar, which was like beautifully put together. And it was kind of interesting because a lot of times they have it gated off, but you could just walk right by it. And it kind of continued throughout the museum to all the different relics and everything. Kind of pops you out into like this picturesque, populated area. That's a great photo op, it looks like.
And it was $3 to enter into the church and go to the museum. And the museum is not like a full-fledged museum. They just have a lot of artwork, a lot of like, what is it, stonework that has been found. So it's not like detailed and doesn't give you very much information on it, but it was still really cool to see.
But I think we were able to get here slightly early before noon, so we had it a little to ourselves. But now we're gonna head back and explore more of the town. But it's interesting because this area has a lot of significance to the people in the town and sailors and just like a lot of history significance. So it's kind of cool to be on this like island right here.
The other island that's part of Perast has the Church of St. George, and unlike the Our Lady of the Rocks, the public is not allowed to go onto the island, which gives it a little bit of a mystery like behind what's there, but you can look at it from afar. And it was apparently built in the 12th century, and it's a monastery as well. So despite being a pretty small town, Perast has a ton of giant, elegant buildings, and a lot of that is due to the strategic maritime history and their connection with the Venetian community. So now we're gonna walk around the promenade and look at these giant, beautiful buildings. I will say Perast has way more bigger, grander buildings than Herceg Novi. It's just like, they're so big and old.
And very detailed. Like this church right here has like a lion on the front, like different figures on the top. And yeah, just different meaning probably.
Yeah, let's go see some more.
We walked the promenade, and it's kind of interesting comparing to Herceg Novi because it just has its own unique charm, which I read online, and I was like, how different could they be? And they're pretty different. I think the food scene here might be a little better, but we don't know because we haven't eaten anywhere yet. And the buildings are definitely, it has like a more like modern, restored, there's still some abandoned buildings, but I feel like Herceg Novi had like more abandoned buildings. I don't know, just a different feel. And I'm definitely like looking up more, and the mountains feel a lot bigger. And I think just being next to like the bay, we were in Herceg Novi too, but like, kind of being like surrounded by the bay is also like a different feeling. I've just been enjoying walking the promenade, and we made it to the end.
And I like how these two cities, it might be all of them, just have like a relaxed vibe to them. There's nothing like crazy going on in the town, so it's just a good place to like take in the views, learn some history, relax, go swimming in the summer. But now that we've seen all the buildings, our goal is to hopefully go up one of the bell towers. Can't go up to the top of the bell tower. It's closed for the season. What a bummer. I did not see that online.
Since we couldn't go into the bell tower, we're just gonna enjoy the rest of our day, relax by the bay, and see where tomorrow will take us, because there's another coastal village with a lot more to explore, and I'm excited for it.
All right, it's a couple hours later, and we decided that we were gonna treat ourselves to some pizza, and we got some pomegranate wine, which I hear is mainly just produced around this area. So we're gonna enjoy some pomegranate wine and some pizza on the bay.
But before pizza, we're gonna try the wine because that's a responsible thing to do. I actually like that a lot, and it's kind of fun because we saw a bunch of pomegranate trees around, and this is some solid wine. I like it. Definitely like an 8 out of 10.
I lied. I thought I liked the juice when I tried it, but then I had some more and I did not like the pomegranate juice we had the other day. So, cheers. Oh, that's really nice. That's better than the juice I got. It kind of tastes like grape juice. It's really sweet, and it kind of has like a little tartness that makes you pucker up a little bit at the end. But I like this wine a lot. So I always go with a vegetable pizza because vegetarian pizzas are just fully loaded with so many good veggies on it. Let's go. That sauce is delicious, and the mozzarella cheese tastes so good, and that fresh basil. There's fresh basil on there too.
Oh, that's how you know.
That's how you know. And look at, they just put a whole olive on it.
I got a bacon pizza, and they actually gave me like a half strip of bacon, which I haven't seen. Usually it's bacon bits. So I'm really excited, and it smells amazing. That is delicious. Everything about this is great. Sauce, cheese, and the crust, great flavor. I can see why the place is a 4.7 stars.
Good morning from day 2 in Perast, and today we're actually going to go to another small town because each of these towns has like something a little special to them, and our Airbnb host even offered to drive us there instead of taking the bus, which is just very kind of him.
But first, we're gonna get a picnic. We have 2 sandwiches, a pastry. It was only 650 euros, and I don't know, I feel pretty good about it.
So we're going to eat some lunch, wait for our Airbnb host, and then start to explore our next town. And one thing I love about walking around like these different towns is you just get to see things that are like completely different from back home. Like these fire trucks over here look so funny compared to the ones that we have in the US, but they're just fun to look at and seeing like the differences between everything.
Another thing I just thought about of why I love being in these smaller coastal towns is because it's less chaotic. I haven't heard a siren the whole time I've been here, and at least coming from Berlin and some of the other European cities, you heard them a lot more, so it's just a nice little break.
So unfortunately, we could not drive to Risan because there's a big crash, there's people in line, so it would have just taken forever. Luckily, it's not too far a walk. It's about 2 kilometers. You have to walk by the sea, so it's not too bad.
So we just made it to our first stop. Because we didn't get dropped off in the city like we originally thought, we're gonna flip-flop the order that we're gonna do things in, but I'm still really excited to get into Risan, but we just won't get there quite yet.
Yeah, our first step is actually gonna be a monastery that's just right outside the city, and it's a Serbian Orthodox monastery, and apparently has a lot of important religious information and history here. So we're gonna go and see what it's all about. I hear it's very serene, and I think they said it was founded in the 12th century. So we're gonna walk up a little hill. I think I see it right there. It does look very peaceful.
Oh, it does.
I know. So we walked up to the monastery and learned that Saturdays are their holy days. So we actually didn't go into the monastery because there were ceremonies going on and there was a bunch of people, but we're gonna try to go back a little bit later in the afternoon. So now it's time to actually get into the town of Risan, which has 2 claims to fame. It is said to be the oldest town on Kotor Bay, and it has ancient Roman mosaics that you can go and explore and see. So let's go see another small town. Da, da, da.
And the cool thing about this city is it actually dates back to the 4th century BC, which is a long time ago. But even more exciting, this building behind me has Roman mosaics that also date back to the 2nd century AD. So I'm excited to see how preserved they are, how colorful they are. I really don't know what to expect going in, but we're starting out with one of the most popular tourist attractions in the city. So yay for being a tourist.
We just got done going through the mosaics, and it's $5 to get in, and it takes you through this old Roman villa that they uncovered and that they're restoring these different mosaics. A lot of them are unfinished, but there's a few that have the complete mosaics done. And in there it also gives you some information on the city, like the Roman influence and other like archaeological sites that are around this area.
And unfortunately we didn't learn too much because the map would be like unknown, unknown, not really sure, maybe a guess. And so we kind of just like walked around and saw some of like the old pieces, and then we left shortly after. But the park we're in now actually has like the 2nd top attraction here, so we're gonna go show you that when it's just over there.
It's not me. The second main attraction is this giant bench.
Moments ago, there was actually 2 other people here that, hey, can you take a picture of us? It's unique. That's all they said. We also got a picture. Here it is.
So we've just kind of been moseying around this little city, and we went up this cute street that had these alleyways and this abandoned courtyard. And then we found this church, St. Michael Archangel Orthodox Church, and apparently it was built in the 17th century. And one word to describe like this area is just like serene. It's very calm, quiet, there's greenery everywhere, and cats. It's been really nice just meandering throughout the town and kind of seeing different things.
We made it to the bridge that has a river that connects to the bay, and just look how picturesque the scenery is. Mountains, water, cute bridge, and over there is the beach and more of the bay. Honestly, exploring today has been a lot of fun, and I'm glad we went to one of the less touristy visited towns because I feel like we had a lot of it to ourselves. There's a lot of locals here, and exploring something new, it's always exciting.
One thing that all of these coastal towns have in common is that they are beautiful, surrounded by these mountains and the bay. It's stunning everywhere. I can't wait to see what Couture's like.
Risan definitely feels the less touristy of them all, but it's kind of interesting how each city we've been to has its own unique charm, which I didn't expect, and it was kind of cool. I think Herceg Novi definitely was one of the more affordable places. For example, the boat tour that we did was only 20 euros, where in Perast the same tour was 40 euros. So just something to consider. And I do think Perast had the best food options. Granted, we didn't try every place to fully know, but it definitely smelled the best and had a lot of high-star ratings. So overall, just kind of fun to explore each city. But there's still one more spot we want to do. And by one more thing, we actually mean two more things. We're going to try to go back to the monastery that we couldn't go into earlier and see if we can check it out this time. But if not, then it's just one more thing.
Plot twist, we're going back to our one mission. We got to the top and all the doors were closed and the lights were off, so we figured we probably shouldn't go inside, but we walked around, we saw the mosaic on the outside, and it looked very beautiful. But now we're just going back to our final mission.
And Becky has been raving about this next spot that we're gonna go to, and you'll see what it's like. I'm not as thrilled as she is.
I'm pumped! And we made it to our next mission, this mussel and oyster farm where we are going to get fresh seafood straight from the Adriatic Sea. Those buoys, that's where they catch the goods. I'm so excited. Let's go eat. So we got our seats and we're literally right on the water, and I can see him taking out the nets and emptying out the shells. I just think it's going to be so good. I still don't know the difference between oysters and mussels though. Maybe I'll ask. What a view. We're starting off strong with some homemade Chardonnay. So. Smells like wine. Ooh, that's really good. It's very sweet. I like that. I literally think this just came off the boat and I don't know how to eat these. I feel like you're supposed to move them around so they don't get stuck. Just a little bit of lemon on there, and then I think you just slurp it up, right?
Ew.
Yum.
Really? No, you can't be serious.
No, it's good. It does taste really fresh. The lemon on it, game changer. I can't tell if it's salty.
I can't believe I'm about to do this, actually. I mean, I don't hate it, I don't love it. Very weird texture. I'm glad I put lemon on it. Super fresh. Like, this shell should show you how fresh it is. Like, literally just, like, it still has, like, seaweed on it. What is this place?
Dinner and a show. They just throw the scraps back into the ocean. Seagulls get to feast. We also got some shrimp to eat too. That's some good shrimp. Tastes nice and lemony and zesty.
This is wild. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone for this. That's actually surprisingly really good. There's a lot of flavor in there. The texture's not too bad. They cook these ones where like the oyster is raw. That's a lot of flavor in there.
That dinner was a 10 out of 10, and we're gonna tell you the price, but first, take a guess. How much does it cost for a plate of shrimp, 2 fresh oysters, a kilo of mussels, fresh bread, a bottle of wine? That was it. Take your guesses. 42 euros. And the view was priceless.
It was honestly pretty great being able to explore 3 different coastal villages. But now we're going to make our way to Couture. We're going to be at a resort for a night. We won't actually spend too much time there yet. We have some other things planned, but you'll just have to follow along to see what all we do. But hopefully y'all enjoyed our village hopping, and we'll see y'all in the next video.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.